Hello everyone, my name is Lino Fera, the host of Cribwolf Talks. Welcome back to our program. Throughout the year, Cribwolf Talks spotlights entities that are committed to addressing the critical need for safe, accessible, supportive housing and deeply affordable supportive housing for persons within our vulnerable population. In addition to discussing the housing crisis, our program is also a platform to individuals and organizations wishing to showcase their social services and essentially share with our viewers the extremely important services they provide to members of our vulnerable population. For example, support services, employment training and sourcing, wellness issues, mental health, inclusivity, and community engagement. On today's episode, I've invited Sean Ferris, who is the CEO of Habitat for Humanity Hamilton. Here are some basic touch points about Habitat for Humanity. It's an international organization founded in 1976 and has now grown to become a global nonprofit organization working in more than 70 countries, serving 1.6 billion people in need of safe housing. It's very impressive, right? Habitat for Humanity Canada was founded in 1985. Habitat for Humanity Hamilton was founded in 1991 by a group of volunteers passionate about bringing the Habitat for Humanity mission to the Hamilton region. Sean, welcome to our program. Nice to have you here today. I read your mission statement on your website, and it reads, to bring communities together to help families build strength, stability, and self-reliance through shelter. Can you elaborate on the role of the Habitat for Humanity in our communities?
Absolutely. Habitat for Humanity plays in the affordable home ownership space, which is a relatively underserved element of the housing continuum. And so what we do is we focus on building and providing affordable home ownership opportunities to members of the community. But moreover, it's about how we engage the community in that. So it's bringing communities together. So we employ volunteers as well as community partners in order to make our mission put into action.
Right. So let's talk about qualifying for habitat ownership. Can you walk us through the qualifying or the selection process?
Absolutely. So there's three main components. One is financial, and that's the ability to pay an affordable mortgage. In part of that is an ability to pay all the utilities and prepare for the home repairs you'll have down the road. So everything that a homeowner needs to be able to afford today and in the future. The second is need. You need to have what CMHC would refer to as core housing need, so being in unsuitable or unfit or unaffordable conditions today. And then finally, you need to have a willingness to partner. And so really that means, being a good ambassador of Habitat and making sure that you follow through on your commitments to Habitat with respect to paying mortgages and so on.
Oh, pretty cool. So I would expect that the number of families applying for Habitat for Humanity's home is significant. Does the need outweigh the services that the Habitat for Humanity can provide?
There is a tremendous need, and there's no one service provider that can solve the affordable housing crisis. It takes many actors and many agencies in various roles to each provide their own solutions to chip away at the affordable housing crisis. In our case, I would say that we will never be able to solve the problem by ourselves. We need partners and other agencies to support us.
So, the supply is less than the need is much greater. So how do you manage the great numbers of individuals applying for, a home?
It's a good question. I would say, as an individual, as a
Yes.
human being,
Right.
I need to understand that we can't solve the problem for everyone and find satisfaction in those that we can work with and can deliver affordable housing solutions. As an organization, we need to manage the influx of those applications so we don't always have expressions of interest or application processes open to the general public. We wait until such a time as we're getting ready for a build to execute on that.
Interesting. So, in my world, I have a son with special needs, and people with developmental disabilities are on huge wait lists, as everyone knows, here in Ontario, provincial wait lists. So, someone with developmental disabilities could wait up, they say 40 years, which is kind of ridiculous, but it is what we're faced with right now. So, what is a time frame or the wait list for Habitat for Humanity? Do you track that? Is there any way of knowing how many people or?
So specific to Habitat?
And how long would it be if, based on the numbers?
Specific to Habitat, we do not carry a wait list. And the reason being is that we don't want to build hope in an applicant that will be able to deliver on something and encourage them to make a choice to avoid another opportunity or forego another opportunity in the expectation that they'd be able to acquire a Habitat home. So the other piece of it is that people's situation changes, their income changes, their family composition changes, and there's various economic variables that would also lead to changes in our policy and so on. So we don't want to have a protracted wait list wherein we've made a commitment to an applicant that we won't be able to deliver upon.
That makes sense. So understanding the complexities, physical and emotional, of the families needing a safe home, are there limitations to what type of home, the size of the home that Habitat for Humanity can build for them?
Typically, we would build a 3 to 4 bedroom home. That's what we've done. We've built as many as 6 bedrooms for a specific family.
Okay.
And we are working towards builds where we're accommodating just one individual. So, we are in a housing crisis. We are looking to expand our service offerings and find other ways to serve the community. That's with new mortgage models, with focusing on critical repairs. But in terms of the home builds, we need to deliver on occupancy standards, right? So we wouldn't want to move a family of 6 into a 2-bedroom home because that's really not serving them. That's creating another problem, right? So what we do is we try to find the families that are the best fit for what we're building, or build to suit a specific family wherever we can.
So we're talking about range of type of homes. Is that a townhouse? Are you restricted to detached or a bungalow? The cost of building is
Right.
Much, it varies depending on what you build, right? So what is the model that you're particularly, going? What's the route that you normally do? Is you look at townhomes or?
Townhomes are what we're building the most right now, semi-detached. Really the question comes down to, when we have a lot, how many homes can we fit on it?
Sure, that's
right?
true, yeah.
And so, we're currently working on a house in the beach community, and we looked at it and we said, we think we can do 2, right? And we need to look at different implications of tenure. So for example, is it regular home ownership or is it a condo, right? So that factors in as well. But we're really pushing towards density. So we're trying to figure out how to best build up. And as you know, we're building with volunteers and with students. And so it's how do you manage all of the complexities of a build, driving density, but still maintaining quality and safety and everything else.
Interesting. So when I was researching Habitat for Humanity, it's clearly laid out there are 3 components to a build: the expertise, the labor, and the material costs, all significant, right? So how do you manage these 3 components? The labor, the material costs. I know that where I'm going with is the labor is professional expertise, but a lot of volunteers too, right? Because I happen to know colleagues that have volunteered to go on a house that's being built somewhere, and so how do you manage those 3 components?
So starting out with the expertise piece, we have a staff of professional home builders in various capacities. In addition, they employ the services of consultants and professional contractors. That's where the majority of our expertise comes from. But in addition to that, we have volunteers who come onto our site and bring expertise. So general volunteers, people who've worked with us in the past in various capacities. We also work with the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. So we have teachers who are skilled in the trades, who train students. They come on our sites as well. So they bring expertise as well as that labor component, right? So labor, again, is those same groups, staff, contractors, consultants, volunteers, students and teachers. And then finally the materials piece, wherever we can, we seek to get a donation of materials or labor. We call it gift in kind. And that can be a tremendous benefit, both speeding up the process to build, but also decreasing the cost. The fact of the matter is we cannot fundraise for an entire build from end to end. These homes don't come for free. There's things that we can never get for free. Some things we can never even get a discount on. So it would not be possible to build these homes without active fundraising and a great team to bring in the funds to pay the bills. As well as our restore. We have a social enterprise which generates funds. So, every dollar donated can go directly towards building homes, and surplus revenues from our restore can also go to help build homes as well.
Yeah, I know that my wife was a clinical director of Teleflex, and her colleagues went on one of your projects, and she came back. She was totally, it was so gratifying. She said, the experience was wonderful, right? And so that's great that people step up, and provide the labor component, working with, I would assume, the experts, the expertise, the electricians, the plumbers, and the carpenters on the job, right? So it must be a wonderful experience. And you're doing a great thing, right? So at the same time. So Hamilton, I guess Habitat for Humanity, Hamilton has active builds being constructed right now, I understand. Can you tell us about your projects that you have ongoing as we speak today, or maybe recently completed? Or?
I would love to. So we have 12 new home builds going on. There's 5 on Sherman Avenue North in Hamilton. So those are 2 to 4 bedroom, narrow towns, 2 stories with a basement. And those are the ones that our OYAP students are actively working on together. We are also kicking off a new build shortly with New Horizons Development Group. They have offered to come out and offer their services and their friends and trades to build a duplex in the beach community. That's a slab-on grade, 2-story for, I believe it's 4 bedrooms per unit. And then we're also working on 5 towns, our first 5 on 6 Nations lands in partnership with 6 Nations Housing, but as well as in partnership with our neighboring affiliate, Habitat for Humanity Heartland. And so that's 5 more towns. These ones are a little bit more sophisticated. They have basements, they have garages, and they range anywhere from 1 to 3 bedroom units. So in terms of new home builds, that's what we have going on. But further to that, we are in the critical repairs space as well. So this year we plan to repair 12 vacant homes in partnership with City Housing and bring them back online so that they can be occupied, because right now they're vacant. And as well do general repairs to people's homes so that they can have that strength and stability in a home that they own, but they can't afford to upkeep necessarily.
Interesting. So I understand also that you're planning to build a 65-unit at Pier 8, Hamilton? That's a large project, right? Is that one of the first of the larger projects you've done, or you've done several of these, or is this, can you tell us about this project?
I wish I could take credit and say it's a completely Habitat build. It's all about partnerships.
Yes.
So it began, I believe, in the States where land is harder to come by in major urban centers. It's been executed on in Habitat GTA and various other larger affiliates. But really, what it comes down to is a partnership with the consortium of developers, referred to as Waterfront Shores. They have committed to provide 5% of their space as affordable, and they're working directly with us to deliver on that. So we're putting in place special mortgage models so that we can execute on it, and we'll be looking for very specific types of applicants that would be an appropriate fit for that sort of build.
Great story. So you mentioned mortgage. So my next question, I want to get into that. So I was reading about the affordable ownership, specifically the monthly mortgage payments cannot exceed the 30% threshold, right? So of the gross household income, am I correct?
That's correct.
This is incredible, understanding today's volatile interest rates. So I just wanted to ask you, how do you manage to offer this model knowing today's market and volatile economy?
Right. I mean, ideally, everyone should have a goal of having no more than 30% of their
True,
income,
true.
dedicated toward housing. But of course, that's extremely challenging in today's day and age. I'll refer to our Habitat Classic mortgage model, and in that particular model, an applicant family would pay no down payment. They would pay a geared to income mortgage payment with zero interest. And Habitat Hamilton holds the mortgage.
Okay.
So when they run into some trouble, take for example a global pandemic, when they may not be able to work or when costs are rising, we can flex that mortgage payment up and down within limits, so that they can afford to put food on the table and clothes on their backs, and make sure they can go out and have a healthy and successful life. So holding the mortgage is the key in that particular mortgage model, so that we can ensure that we can keep it at the 30% or less.
Very good. So what would be the most challenging component of all this? Is it the financing or finding the land for the project? Like, which one do you think?
You're going to make me pick, are you?
I'm going to make you pick one. Make you work for this question here.
So I would comment that right now our biggest challenge is land. Land's at a premium, and we look at all sorts of options, from greenfield development, which is very expensive to purchase, to brownfield, which is expensive to remediate. We look at maybe we'll buy houses and knock them down, right? Again, very expensive and maybe doesn't drive the density. So finding land is probably one of the greatest challenges, so that we can set ourselves up. There's a long development timeline. So between the time you purchase a piece of land till you're actually getting a shovel in the ground, it's a long time frame. So we're relying more and more on partnerships with city housing, so that we can do repairs and keep people active and engaged and still deliver on our mission while we're developing land. Partners like Waterfront Shores for the Pier 8 build, partners like New Horizon Development Group are going to step up and help us build 2 homes in the beach community. So that's how we mitigate that piece. But there's a long list of challenges, so that's just one on the top of the list.
You're so right. I mean, it's based on the huge need for housing, right, and the way the family household incomes are shrinking and things like that, and all the other variables that play a part. Collaboration, what I'm hearing from you, is huge. I mean, it's going to require all levels of government, especially the municipalities, the changing mentality of buying vacant land to organizations like Habitat for Humanity and other social businesses that are in the housing market. They need to make more land available so we can do these projects and gnaw away at the wait list, and people waiting for such opportunities, right, to have a home. So I always end my program by asking my guests, what would be the one final message that Sean would like to leave with our viewers? I think, one final message that you feel hits home.
So what I would say is that, everyone has a connection to a hospital. Someone in their family gets sick. Everyone, many of us have a connection to an educational institution or something like that. But a lot of folks, and in particular maybe the affluent folks, don't necessarily have a connection to affordable housing, to housing instabilities and all the challenges that generates. Having a safe and decent place to live, knowing that you won't be evicted, leads to a better life, right? It leads to better educational outcomes for kids. It leads to better employment stability. It leads to better physical and mental health. The UN has said it's a social determinant of health. So while you may not recognize that, housing is impacting you or your family or your business, in fact it does, because if you can keep people out of hospitals, keep people off the street, keep them from, to the best of your ability, from mental health struggles, you're building a better community, right? You're building a healthier community. You're driving the economy, right? Helping to create jobs. So it's a snowball effect. So, I would encourage anybody who has an interest in serving their community to consider contributing to Habitat, be it donations of product or donations of money or donations of time. Even if you're not skilled, call us up and say that you'd like to be involved, and we'll see where there's a fit. We do lots of things with a lot of different people, and sometimes people reach out and say, I'd like to do this, and we say, well, that's a great idea. Let's figure out how to do it.
Yeah, let's do it, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely mention this again about you supporting your organization in my closing comments. And you're so right. Every Canadian has the right to have a roof over their head, right? And what I like about Habitat for Humanity is that you're doing your part. Whether it's a big part or small part, you're doing your big part to get that done, right? So I commend you and your organization. I know that it's an international organization. You're everywhere, right? So people, it doesn't matter what province you live in, what community, reach out to your organization, and you'll do the best, right? Best
Absolutely.
you can, right? So thank you for being on our show.
Thanks so much, Lino.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's a great organization, and I can feel your passion, Sean. So good luck with you.
Well, as my mom had said to you guys earlier, it's nice not to worry about the tub falling through the floor, for example. It's nice not to smell mold like we did in the trailer we were living in beforehand. And there was a lot of leaks in the roof and stuff sometimes, and window leaking, and yeah, it got pretty bad. My neighbor called me on the phone and told me that she reached out to Habitat to try and get us approved for a house, because where we were living in, it was just not ideal conditions, and we were just trying to tar and feather the place to try and keep it livable. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. Well, I'm Shelby Murray, and I live here in Salisbury, West New Brunswick, and I live in this home that was built by Habitat for Humanity. I've been living there since December 2016. Gosh, I love it. It's very peaceful, very cozy. But I will tell you one thing, when I first moved here, it was a crazy mix of emotions. It was like, I was excited, I was really happy, but I was also scared. I guess I was just anxious to be in the house and check it out, and just wonder, what's everything gonna feel like? What's everything gonna sound like? And maybe a little sad too, because I had lived in that trailer for 16 years, and I knew there was some problems, but I never realized the full scope of how bad they were. The broader scope of it was much worse than I realized. And now that we got a nice house, I can, for example, have my worker over to help me cook food and stuff instead of having to go all the way to the office kitchen in town. It was a pretty overwhelming process. There was different fundraisers going on, even at my church, and so many people took part. And to think, when we had the ceremony here, there must have been 40 people here, all gathered in the kitchen, living room, and other parts of the house. It's just wow. And then to think, here's this quiet, cuddly little place to call home. Gosh, I love it. We're just so grateful for Habitat's help, but we couldn't have done it without their help. My goodness. I just want to say thank you to all the donors that have reached out and supported this wonderful cause. Keep doing what you're doing if you can, because there's lots of families like mine that could really use a good place to call home. So keep it up, folks. Keep doing what you're doing.
We have come to the end of today's program. I would like to thank Sean Ferris for appearing as my guest today and providing us with an opportunity to learn so much about Habitat for Humanity. I am certain every person who has listened to Sean's talk will agree that Habitat for Humanity has a valued place in any community. They are certainly passionate about their work and are committed to their core values. Habitat for Humanity is absolutely correct when they state on their website, we must build more, build faster, and build now. Sure enough, the work of all our guest social organizations are doing to assist, improve, and better the lives of individuals within our vulnerable population, especially those with disabilities, is so vital to a caring and engaged community. I've learned from meeting many of the people behind these social businesses, like Sean Ferris. They care about the people they service. They are passionate about their work. I hope you have found today's program very interesting. I'm certain Habitat for Humanity would love to have your support, financial, materials, and volunteering your expertise. We'll post their contact information on our website, cribwolftalks.com. If you would like to view this webcast and any of our previous webcasts, they are all posted on our website, cribwolftalks.com. You can also key in the 2 words, Cribwolf Talks, on YouTube, and you can watch our episodes on Your TV Halton Cogeco's community channel, covering local news and productions in the Burlington, Oakville, and Milton areas. If you're doing great things in the community that improve the quality of life for those within our vulnerable population and wish to share your message on a future webcast, write to us at info@cribwolftalks.com. Remember, those within our vulnerable population need our help. Affecting change is warranted, especially when it enriches people's lives. My name is Lino Fera. Thank you for watching Cribwolf Talks. Be well, stay safe.